I'm Scott Weatherly. Welcome to 20th Century Geek. Okay, so we're going to be continuing our Shane Black Christmas. Previously, we reviewed Lethal Weapon and can't remember now. Last Boy Scout. Good start. That's a good start.
That, yeah.
Consider actually going back to our reviews. The fact that you said it was that forgetful or forgettable, and I'm the one who's forgotten all about it. So we've gone through over those. So we've now done two more Shane Black Christmas films. We're going to be covering The Long Kiss Goodnight and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. So I think really it's sort of a
two titles with kiss in it. You're trying to tell me something. It's a subliminal messaging going on here.
It is. It is. It's sort of a romantic theme.
Romantic.
Yeah.
I think we are romantic chaps. So
yeah.
I mean, we're having a meal as we podcast.
I would say, yeah, we're having our dinner at the moment. So this is dinner theatre.
Yes, yes, we are eating as we talk. Well, we're not eating as we talk because that'd be rude, but we're eating in between.
Yeah, it might actually shut me up for a bit.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover Long Kiss Goodnight and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And we'll do it in chronological order. So we will start with Long Kiss Goodnight.
Okay.
That stars Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson.
Gina Davis, when she was hot.
She's very attractive. Yeah. First impressions of this film. What were your thoughts?
Gina Davis gets very, very wet.
She does. Yes.
And that was one of the distinctive memories when I saw this film the first time it came out in the cinema. Because I saw it in the cinema. Because she was it? What year was it? 95? Yeah. So I saw it in the cinema. Thought it was an okay film. Didn't remember a thing about this until and then I rewatched it the other day. The problem we have now is because of the way it was shot. When you watch it on DVD, the picture's condensed because things. So luckily, if you've got a decent enough TV, you can extend or zoom the picture so you can do something with it.
Did you get on Blu-ray, DVD?
I got on DVD, yeah. Yeah, obviously Blu-ray has been remastered.
I was going to say, because I've done a redo version for Blu-ray.
I don't know. It wasn't as good to me.
Good. It wasn't as good as what?
As it was in 1995.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was very disappointed, and I found myself looking at my watch when I was watching this.
Oh, really?
And I thought, out of all the films we picked, apart from Lethal Weapon, this would be
the one you'd want to.
Yeah, totally. Problem with it is, from my perspective, is the fact that how many innocent people die because of this one woman? Throughout the entire film, people die. Everywhere she goes, people die. That are not linked to the storyline. They'll all die.
Yeah.
And on Christmas Eve. What a shit Christmas their family's going to have because of Gina Davis.
I think there's a couple of points. You're right. I totally agree. And there's actually two scenes in this. There's two scenes in this that really made me think you would not be able to put them in a film today.
Okay.
But let's just I'll quickly cover the plot, really, because I think this is one of the lesser-known ones, really. I would say this is even lesser-known than Last Boy Scout, which I actually find a bit odd. But Gina Davis is very mumsy mum, living in small-town New Jersey. Yeah, but very sort of...
Milfy,
but in a sort of homely kind of way.
In a milfy kind of way.
Yeah, in a milfy mumsy kind of way. It turns out she basically lost her memory and came about 8 years previously. She's got a daughter. She's now seen someone.
Sorry?
Her personality came about 8 years previously.
No, you said. What do you say before that? About Gina Davis's character.
Oh, she was washed up on a beach, and she'd lost her memory. And
sorry, I didn't remember that.
Yeah. She had to develop her own character.
That's terrible, isn't it?
It is.
That's a good joke, though.
So we learned about that.
She was washed up with a suitcase, though, wasn't she? She had a suitcase with her.
She had some detail. Yeah, she had some minimal things, but nothing with a name on or anything like that. Because I think she had some clothes items and some of the bits and pieces. Because the briefcase, we'll get into that in a moment. So basically, since then, she's been hiring private detectives, and they've basically got cheaper and cheaper so she could afford them. And she's now down to this sort of schmo that is played by Samuel L. Jackson, who's a bit of a con man, really, rather than a private detective. And she starts having flashbacks after she has another car crash. So she has a car crash and she starts having sort of flashbacks of being able to do certain things with a knife or, other things. And she appears on the news.
Oh, she kills someone in that car crash and there's no accountability for it.
Does he die in that car crash?
Yeah, it car catches fire and burns to death.
But she kills the deer as well, by cracking its neck.
Yeah, but there's no accountability. She doesn't even go back to the car to see if he's okay.
No, well,
she kills the deer.
To be fair, yeah, without saying,
I'm just going to
rather than save him.
And who is he?
He was just a friend of the family, I think. He's just sort of like an old...
Well, he's not anymore, is he?
Yeah, no. Well, he caused the crash, to be fair. So, yeah, after the crash, she starts to have these flashbacks, and she's appeared on TV as, like, Mrs. Claus in the local parade, and people start tracking her down, and it turns out that in a previous life, basically, before this accident that sort of vanished her memory, she was a spy for the CIA in some weird... This may sound familiar. Accident happens, memory erased, former spy being hunted by government agents. Change Gina Davis into Matt Damon. It's the Bourne Identity, this film, which is unbelievable. But basically, it turns out that the government are funding terrorist attacks on... This is why I don't think this film would play anymore. They were funding terrorist attacks on home turf and blaming it on Middle Eastern insurgents in order to secure future budget. That's the film.
And also, one thing you failed to mention is the fact that inside the film they said, just like we did with the Twin Towers, with the bombings.
It's the bombing, but those are the Twin Towers. It's
no, it's the Twin Towers.
It was the bombing that happened before, wasn't it?
Yeah, the bombing that happened before when they put bombs in it.
Yeah.
Not the
plane.
Not 9/11.
Which happens 6 years later.
But how freaky is that?
Yeah.
Well,
so she ends up getting on the run. She ends up getting her personality back. And she turns out to be this badass spy and all this other stuff.
Very quickly.
And like I say, it then becomes a very...
shitty Christmas for everyone else.
Yeah. But it's a solid action film, I would say. That's the plot in a nutshell. I actually really enjoyed this film. I like yourself, I couldn't remember anything other than Wet Gina Davis. That's pretty much all I remembered from this film. And the ending I thought was really good. It was reminiscent of early 90s, late 80s action films. It was very of its time. It's dated, but I still thought it was pretty good.
I think the action is good. I don't think the action is not any good. I think this just full of situations where you just go, things are unanswered. Like, for instance, the whole government thing. Even the President of the United States is behind this conspiracy from the beginning. Yeah, right from the beginning. When he's in his kitchen, in his dressing gown, making a cheese sandwich, talking to his people, as you do, and saying she needs to be sorted out.
Yeah. Well, no, he basically says he's doing plausible deniability, isn't he? Because he's saying, don't tell me anymore. I don't want to know. I get what you're telling me. Go fix it, is what he's saying.
Yeah. Which is pretty much the same thing, though, isn't it? Just go and kill her. But the problem is that you've got the bad guys against her.
Yeah.
You've got the government that's co-conspirating with the bad guys. You've got the president that's backing up his men, who are all co-conspirating with the bad guys. So everyone is against her.
Yeah. Apart from Samuel L. Jackson.
Apart from this badass, cool... Yeah. Well, he's not really a badass. He's a bit of a wimp in this, actually, Samuel Jackson.
This is not Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson. This would be around the time of Pulp Fiction, though. But it's not.
Pulp Fiction came before this.
Yeah.
And this is a... Jules is his character in Pulp Fiction. This is a watered-down version of Jules.
Yes.
This is.
Yeah.
No two ways about it, I expected him to recite some passages in the Bible and justify shooting someone. There
is a couple of times when he does lurch into that sort of area. There's a couple of really, like you say about uncomfortable bits or things about the action. There's a moment when in fact, I'm going to mention two things. They basically, when her memory starts to come back, they get given a name, and they've got to make contact with this person who's in the government, involved in the CIA, and it's a person to contact. Turns out to be Brian Cox, who has been old since the 80s.
Scottish.
Yeah.
Scottish actor, isn't he?
But he's been old since the 80s. But also appears in the Bourne films.
Yeah.
So that was like, is this the same dude? Is it the same thing? But they meet him at a train, or they're going to meet him at a train station, and then basically there's a shootout at a train station.
Yep.
To call it a shootout is probably a bit of a misnomer. It's a massacre. Government agents walk in with machine guns and just mow down innocent people.
Anyone that's there. And the cops that are there
yeah.
do nothing.
No, they run.
They run, or they hide up against the wall, as they do in some shots.
So, in the age of frequent mass shootings in America, that scene made me feel really uncomfortable.
Okay.
So I was a bit like, that was the first scene where I was like, this wouldn't play in this day and age. If you put that in a film today, that would not work. That would
I
be
don't know, because I think that
you would get a studio note for that scene saying, no, we're not having that. That doesn't happen. The government cannot be seen to be killing innocent people in a random shootout.
because it is the bad guys that's doing it, not the government.
It's the people that work for the CIA, because they've got to kill her.
It's all very vague, though, isn't it?
It is.
Because
It's a little bit...
like, are you a bad guy, or you're wearing a suit, or you're wearing a trench coat? I'm confused, and it's one of those.
I'm noticing a bit of a pattern in these films. I think we'll get onto it when we get into Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It's a similar thing. Is the plot, the conspiracy behind it all, is a little bit inconsequential. Because really, let's be honest, the drugs thing in Lethal Weapon, is a thing of, we know it happens. It's coincidental. Whatever it happens, it's but really it's about the partners getting on and getting involved. The crime, it could have been any crime, couldn't it? Really. As we said as well last week, the conspiracy in Last Boy Scout, the gambling conspiracy in Last Boy Scout, is a little bit inconsequential. Again, it just sort of drives actions along, but not the plot. And the same in this. The government secret service or CIA plot is actually a little bit inconsequential to the whole Gina Davis spy thing, really.
What I don't understand is that she falls off the cliff. You see that shot later on. She gets shot. Okay? She falls off the cliff and she gets washed up along the shore. Okay? Mm-hmm. She wakes up on the beach with no memory whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But in the film, there's a suitcase. Plume de flume? Where's that suitcase come from?
They do address that.
Do they?
So, Samuel L. Jackson, his assistant, they've been keeping tabs on... they've had... Because he's a former policeman. So they've been keeping tabs on if a certain credit card that she did have... So she's had a name... She knew that some name, didn't she? If that name, a credit card or whatever is used with that name on, and then comes up as a flag, they get it. Somehow they got hold of that. So she gets a lead that says, "Oh, we've now had this credit card that's been used. It's been declined because it hasn't been used for so many years. So it's expired or whatever." They track it back to this woman who was a landlord, and she basically was this landlord died, and her son found the suitcase in a cupboard and tried to use the credit card. That's how they get hold of the suitcase. So it was just in somebody's cupboard from years before.
I mean, if he's that meticulous to go through the suitcase to get the credit card, right? Then surely he would have recognised the fact that in that suitcase there was a shotgun.
There was a rifle.
There was a rifle in there, which would have took up half of the suitcase.
I always find that a bit sort of... Sorry,
and way more than the clothes.
Basically, you empty your suitcase and it still weighs a ton.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah,
listeners, just so you know, there is actually this is being recorded on the 19th of December, and there's actually there are carols going on outside the house. I think Santa may go past at some point on a sleigh.
Really?
Yeah. But no, I've always had a problem
Or could it be Gina Davis?
It could be Gina Davis.
Because she's a sylph.
She really... That's just disturbing, to be honest.
It works for me.
I figured it out quite quick. I wonder how many people out in my house do.
Sylph.
No, I've always had that problem with, like, sort of secret compartments in suitcases or briefcases. Because
it's a cop out, really.
It's a cop out because you say, if you open something and you've lost 1.5 inches,
then you'll notice.
Deep. Yeah. In order for this rifle to be hidden in the bottom of this suitcase,
but
you would notice.
Can I just say though, right? You think 1.5 inches is quite big, yeah? But in actual fact, I gotta burst your bubble here, mate.
Is it not that big?
No, it's not.
I'm so glad people can't see the distance.
Yeah, I know exactly, and but you keep thinking to yourself 1.5 inches is okay.
My wife tells me. Yeah, so you get all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you do get the sort of, going back to what we said last week about the pulp detective element of all this. This film is very pulpy. To the extent that, I think there's elements, to the extent that, when they're in the hotel, when Samuel L. Jackson's sort of doing his, he's watching on TV The Long Goodbye with Elliot Gould in, which is based on the Raymond Chandler novel, which is obviously a 1930s detective
pulp thing,
I think. So there's loads of that throughout it. I would rather have that appeared in. That would be an in-joke that would have been better in The Last Boy Scout, to be fair. But it feels suitable for his stylings. We should also highlight with someone else we've mentioned in the past is Rennie Harlan directs this film.
Her husband
at the time, yeah. And he's done a couple of films.
She was married to Jeff Goldblum before this. So
yeah, sounds like, so basically, if you want to get in bed with,
she'd been married 4 times.
It does sound like if you want to get involved with Gina Davis, just work on a film with her.
I've directed a few, so.
You've directed a few films with Gina Davis.
No, I mean I directed a few films, so I mean she's looking for a new director.
If she's, she's doing the Exorcist thing at the moment. I think she's pretty.
Is she?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. But it's got that sort of bombastic stylings. I think the third act in this film is brilliant.
But so many people die, and the Christmas is ruined for so many people. How do you have a happy ending to a film like this?
If this film had taken place in the summer, would that have played better for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think the timing of this at Christmas sucks, because the underlying tone of this is the fact that people get slaughtered all over the place, and they're all innocent. There's lots of innocent deaths in it. So at least with Lethal Weapon, bad guy gets shot, good guy gets shot, bad guy gets shot.
It is quite murky, I agree.
This is people get killed all over the place. Lots of people. And also as well, the guy that they go to see, that Samuel L. Jackson hits over the head with a tire iron. I'm not sure if you've ever picked up a tire iron.
Yeah, they're pretty sturdy.
Life.
I would say
you hit someone over the head with that, you are gonna crack their skull open.
Yeah.
Or possibly even kill them. Tire irons are.
But this is the movie world. This is in movies you can punch someone and knock them out, or you can hit them over the head with a tire iron and they're just dazed for a few seconds whilst you get away. It's I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
But
did you notice right at the beginning of the film when she's starting to find her powers? And she's cutting carrots.
Powers is an interesting. Actually, I'm glad you said that. We'll come on to that in a minute.
Well, she's cutting carrots.
Yeah.
Right. I want you to watch this film back if you haven't seen this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Listen to the dog.
Right.
Because the dog in the background that's barking is barking Jingle Bells.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, in the background. Okay, so in that entire scene, you got a dog barking Jingle Bells. So I just wanted to say this to you all day. It's really weird, but yeah.
I will actually. I'll check that out. Actually, one thing I'll say is, you say about powers, and when I was watching this, I was a bit like, is this actually a superhero film? Because by the end of it, it's this. No, not in a real true sense, but in the structure of, like you say, because some of the stuff she does at the end is not. It's movie universe plausible, but it's not realistic plausible.
But is this
John McClane Die Hard 4 and 5 plausible rather than...
But is this Gina Davis? Is this Rennie Harlin's attempt, or Shane Black's attempt at Nikita?
Yeah, again, other thing, obviously, but what other female agent or badass characters are there? And I came up with Nikita, La Femme Nikita, and Salt, which was
And Lara Croft.
Well, yeah, but that's it. There's very few. So it was. I like this from a sense of like it's a female badass character.
Barbarella.
Barbarella's not a badass character, though, is she? It's a bit cheap.
Yeah, I suppose.
And crap.
Catwoman.
But in modern day, not really. Well, yeah, not main characters though. I'm talking about main characters. Like because in this, she's the main antagonist. She's the protagonist. She's the character that's running.
Oh, Catwoman was the main character in Catwoman.
Oh, you're talking about the Halle Berry. Travesty.
Halle Berry in leather.
That's about the only good thing about that film.
Yeah. What about what I was going to say now? The female characters. We're talking about female characters, weren't we? What about so really strong female characters?
I'm talking about like badass action female characters
Wonder Woman
from the comics, but not from the films. I'm talking like movie. Like before now, like Wonder Woman was sort of like in that parlance of like cheesy 70s shows, but again, not a real badass. This is an area that I don't think people were willing to go into. I don't think you get anything like her again.
What about the chick from Bewitched? The one that used to do that with
Wiggle her nose. You're just gone off on some weird tangent around like any female character you can think of. So
I'm just trying to be.
I'm trying to
be helpful.
I'm thinking the only other the next time you get someone similar to this is Trinity from The Matrix. And again, she's not really a main character, but she's up there. She's in the main like the Trinity of that film. But a woman who.
What about Jodie Foster in The Accused?
I'm not even touching that.
Oh, that's your defence. You're entitled to it. Well, she's a strong character.
It is, and there's a real it's interesting.
But this definition of strong characters, women
that's more
portraying
of
as strong
but
characters.
that's like a Death Wish kind of thing, isn't it? That's more of a.
Oh yeah. Well, I spit in your grave.
Yeah,
same
revenge.
Sort of
Right, okay, so but that's the thing. Then you get for female characters, you get revenge-driven.
Which is this
horror fantasy? Which is what is this though? Because
this is a revenge film. Of course it is. It's a revenge.
Who is she taking revenge on?
Well, she didn't finish a job, and then her family is.
But they're taking revenge on her. They're tracking her down. If they didn't bother, right? If she hadn't appeared in that TV show, none of this would have happened. Like no one attacks her for her to take revenge. It's her trying to find out her memory, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying, but I don't buy that so much. I just think from a positive. I wouldn't say positive because the other thing as well is that like you get. When I watched it, I was thinking, you get there's two versions of this character. You get the mumsy one at the beginning, the brunette, and then she becomes blonde and badass, and she becomes Charlie, whatever they call her, the character. She becomes the super spy. Yeah, Bob. I can't remember the name, but she basically becomes the super spy character.
But it's Nikita. It's Nikita.
She becomes La Femme Nikita.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not until the end because she becomes all cold and she's like
kid, get away.
Basically, I didn't have that kid. That kid's not mine. She's the woman I was.
The problem is right is that and you know this with Alex and the bond between a mother and daughter is special.
It is,
and there's no way. Regardless of whether you're a cold-hearted killer, you would not.
But that's what happens. I think that happens in the film. No, I think that what happens is when she becomes Charlie again, she wants to distance herself because it's all panic. It's like I don't want what the life I had before was easy. It was clean cut. I was given orders. I killed someone and moved on. I was freewheeling, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then she became this mumsy mum after she loses her memory and she takes on responsibility. She becomes a school teacher. She has a child. There's a scene at the end though when she's trapped in the freezer with the little girl because they take the girl hostage, which was the obvious thing to do, where she becomes the third character. She blends into a character that is an amalgamation of both the mumsy mum and the badass.
Yeah. Because
she's now using it's the love and emotion from the mumsy using the badass skills of the thing to protect her daughter. So you're right, I totally agree that you can't. But she finds that bond again.
But this is a training video for social services. Let's be honest.
Oh god, yeah, that kid has got psychological damage for the rest of her life.
This is like.
Yeah.
That kid's going to be really disturbed issues and everything else, And,
But the kid doesn't listen, right? Because at the end of it, like, Gina Davis is beaten to balls, like, she's bloody, she's battered, she's stabbed, and she's bleeding. And, like, she gets the kid safety and says, "Run, just don't look back, just run." And then she sends the kid off and she collapses, and the kid turns around and runs back. And I was just like, all I could think of is like that frustration I have whenever I talk to my daughter, and she's just like, "No," and you're just like, "Oh, just listen once."
But do you think that Gina Davis, though, is... see, my problem with this, okay, and I'll stand by this, is that my problem with Gina Davis in this role is that Gina Davis was given this role because she was married to Rennie Harlin. Okay? Make no mistake about that. That's why Cutthroat Island happened, and she had the lead in that. Okay?
That film's awful.
It is awful, but again, you cast that film...
Is that Rennie Harlin?
That's Rennie Harlin,
yeah.
You cast that film with another lead, and that film would have had a different outcome to it. It really would have. The problem I've got with this film, more than anything else, is that the fact that Gina Davis, to me, is not the killer type. Now, I know this can work in two ways. Yeah, okay. I know that you can, expect the unexpected kind of thing, but I think that's bullshit. I think that if you were to cast someone else in that role, her face is just she's
angelic.
She is too angelic to be a killer.
I get that, and I actually think because she always played, although she is beautiful or was beautiful.
Yeah.
When I see the other characters she plays, when she played in The Fly, against Jeff Goldblum, or when she's in Beetlejuice, she always plays more like that girl next door.
Yeah,
kind of role.
Yeah,
and that's what she plays at the beginning of this film, isn't it? She's like the hot mom or the one, the one girl next door. So when she becomes the badass hot agent, there is an element of it sort of feels a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does.
This is who you were before that.
Yeah, it's not convincing. It's.
I see what you're saying.
It's just not convincing enough. She's not so much the story of it. It's more the case of she's not. It's not convincing in a sort of like as a casting perspective.
Yeah, no, I agree. I can see it 100%.
I think people like I don't know. She's just too glamorous to be the character she was playing.
No, I agree. I can completely understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
But we like her, and but I'm not dissing the film because the film's okay, but it's not as enjoyable as I remembered it was the first time round. Probably because watching it the second time, sustainability and everything else. But also as well, you see, it takes the timelines are very blurred on this because. This happens very quickly, but over a long few days.
Yeah, because it's the week running up to Christmas.
Yeah, I know, and it's like, and most of the deaths happen on Christmas Eve, which is kind of like, I don't know. Would you, if you were a fella, right? Would you take it back after all this has happened?
It's a good question actually, because. There's she's obviously been dating this guy for a while, right? She's been dating this guy for a while, so he knows about her non-past, and he's obviously quite close to the daughter in a sort of fatherly kind of way.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with them as a sort of an almost family unit. Like they're clearly going to get together.
Yep.
But then it's the week before Christmas, and this private eye turns up and he's like, "I found this briefcase, and actually we've got a lead on your identity," and she jumps in the car and buggers off. The week leading up to Christmas.
And what happens the night before? Don't forget that, She gets attacked in her house, child. She just leaves the child and her husband there.
That's
and
the
just
point.
I'm off now. She says, Good luck. Look after yourself.
Yeah, that's it.
There's a gun in the cellar.
That's what I found. That's what I felt was like she's off with Samuel L. Jackson, and she's like, "I'll ring you every day." I was like, "Well, it's not going to help if you're ringing from sort of wherever you are and you just hear gunfire in the background because they've come to the house again." I was a bit like, surely you'd send them off somewhere safe.
Yeah, some safe house, get the police involved. And at no point is she a wanted criminal by the police.
No, it never comes up.
She's killed.
That never happens.
She's killed countless people.
But this is the same
which regardless of the reasons.
This is movie logic again. This is the same as Joe Hallenbeck in Lost Boy Scout. His gun being used to kill a policeman
and never addressed again.
It's never mentioned or it never comes up.
It's just there's just I don't know. I like things a bit more cleaner cut.
Yeah.
You know, I think.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying. I really enjoyed the action in this. I think I agree that the plotting is murky a little bit, to the extent of, like you say, it's clear that the president sort of knows what's happened and wants it cleared up, but doesn't want to be told.
Yeah.
Right. However, at the end of the film,
He's like her best friend.
she's on the phone to him directly.
Oh, can we have you back?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's all
There'll
right.
be a huge paycheck in it for you.
No, I'll be all right. And she's
Yeah.
tapping the money she's got in her new convertible car.
Which was obviously the money she'd made as a spy previously, but never
But
really
also,
mentioned.
during the film, there is no chemistry between her and Samuel L. Jackson at all. The chemistry isn't there. Yet we are led to believe that they'll kiss each other.
Well, no. There's never
tries to be this sexual chemistry.
I would say no. I disagree with that. I would say that it's never supposed to be like, it's never meant to be sexual tension. It's never supposed to be.
But there's elements of it though.
No, only when she becomes the spy.
Yeah.
And I read that as her acting out against everything that she had done for the past 8 years.
Okay.
I didn't see that as being she fancied him. It could have been anybody. Like, that could have been regardless of the character or the actor, that could have been anybody. She was basically acting out against being the mumsy type and wanting to prove that she could just sort of like sleep with anyone regardless of anything and move on. She was almost proving herself to herself.
She never called. I would have said yes.
I felt there was definite. By the end of the film, I believed that these two were friends and would back each other up.
I believed that Samuel L. Jackson was immortal.
Yeah, I've got that down as well.
It's blown out of a pane glass window, through the air, probably about 40 feet.
One of my
50
notes.
feet.
Yeah.
Into a tree.
Yeah.
To fall down with his hands tied in a chair.
Okay, this is my note. How is Sam Jackson not killed when blown out of the window?
There we go.
Because he then gets up and then he gets beaten up, then he gets blown up and then
shot,
and then obviously he still saves the day by driving the car.
He drives the car.
Granted, he is playing it. He's not like playing it like John McClane in Die Hard 5, where he can just shrug it off. He is playing it like he's been beaten to hell.
Oh yeah,
but he's still. I really like him in this film as well. Actually, I think he's quite funny, and has some awful wardrobe choices. Whether that's forced on him or not, I don't care. But it's also when he wears all like the Kangol caps backwards, it's a bit of a thing for him. Is this where it comes from? Because he has a woolly one in this, and I was a bit like, oh, is that
bit weird?
Is that supposed to be a joke? Okay, so the other things I thought were really interesting in this film, the opening credits on this film.
Yeah.
When you watch them, you have to watch them back again, I think, because they're actually the scenes throughout the opening credits are all scenes from the film, Mission Impossible style.
Oh yeah, and the signatures and stuff.
Yeah, so it goes through the entire film. Actually, when I went back and checked, is laid out in the opening credits. So I thought that was quite interesting.
To be honest with you, I've watched it. I watched it once at cinema, once watching it all through for this podcast, and then last night I fast forwarded it to the water scene and I just watched that a few times.
Yeah, on loop.
Just on loop.
On loop.
So I haven't really got back to the credits really.
No, you should have a look though.
Yeah, but I just try and understand that water scene and I can't really get my head around it, so I need to watch it a few more times.
Okay, I'll let you get back to that one.
And the freezer scene's quite cool as well.
Yes. Yeah,
she looks quite nippy in there.
Yeah, it clearly is.
Yeah, quite nippy.
A little chilly. The other thing I was going to mention was there's a scene where she's basically watching her daughter through the scope of a rifle.
Well, I'm ready to shoot her.
And that was because she's using it to have a look around the town. And there was a moment where I was like, are we supposed to read this? That she's actually willing to kill her?
That's what implying, but she doesn't because she can't. Because she doesn't. Oh,
is that? And that's the first step between the two characters merging. But no, I found that where I was a bit like, I was a bit like, it's quite a nice shot. It works well, but I was like, am I supposed to take it? She's willing to kill her daughter to completely distance herself from.
They get about the country quite quickly, as well. There's one time when they're in New York and then they got to go up to Niagara Falls.
Well, they're not that far apart. They're a couple 100 miles.
But that's the whole point. Is the fact that it's
the
time.
Still takes you time to drive
to get up there. It's just geographically.
Yeah. So really, I think I enjoyed this film. But what would you give it out of 10?
5.
Shane Black's not doing too well, really, is he? I think
No.
I'm going to say. I'm actually going to say that. I'm going to give it a 6.5.
That's fair enough.
I think there's some good bits in it that I really enjoy. And we said in the last two that there's no like big explosions. Well, there's one or two big explosions, you know.
Oh, this one's
got some real explodey action in it, which is clearly which is less Shane Black, more Rennie Harlin. Like when the bridge blows up at the end and the car's all taken off and stuff. I thought that's quite good.
How she goes through the window and doesn't break her neck as well. Things like this.
There's a couple of things.
That's why I've known it as a 5.
Yeah.
From a believability factor.
So. Yeah, but that's
and silliness. It was a bit too silly at certain points.
Okay, so this was too far into the sort of action.
Yeah,
madness.
This is too Gina Davis, Gina McClane.
It came across Die Hard.
Female
5.
Die Hard. Yeah.
Okay, 6.5. Okay, so let's jump forward 10 years. Because I know it's meant to be 20th Century Geek, but I wanted to sort of round this out with 4 films. Really,
was it 10 years later?
10 years later, this one. So this is 2005.
Really?
2005. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Which, having watched it this time, in this quartet of films, I would say is the most subdued of the 4 of them. In the fact that like there's less, it's not explodey action,
but it's a very downplayed film.
It is
extremely. All
so what were your So 2005, we talk. This is Robert Downey Jr.
Yep.
Part of his comeback from being a naughty boy.
Val
Kilmer, who I have to say, I actually really enjoy in this film.
Yep.
As Gay Perry.
Yep. Which is actually his name on the credits as well.
Yeah, she's called Gay Perry, and I've got to know Michelle Monaghan as Harmony, who's like the woman, the girl involved in all this. Yeah. What were your thoughts about this then? So hit me with your general thoughts.
Surprisingly loved it. Thought it was really, really good, and Robert Downey Jr. is just brilliant in it. Val Kilmer's great in it, and it's nice because it's not a cop, a good guy, bad guy film. It's a very unusual kind of film, where you have a guy that stumbles in, a criminal that stumbles into an acting audition and becomes.
I love that scene.
And it's like, it's just so well played. Everything's so played, and there's lots of black humour. All throughout, it's humorous all the way through.
I would say the thing I wanted to say is I wanted to get your opinion because I've been dying to know what you thought of this film.
I loved it. I've loved the film.
This is, out of all of them, I would say is the purest Shane Black film.
Okay.
Because for the fact of the matter is, it was directed by Shane Black as well as written by Shane Black.
Oh, yes. I didn't know that.
So I didn't know if you'd look at that, but that's what this was.
Know that.
So this is probably the purest, because all those references to the pulp novels. Yeah. What's he called? Johnny Gossamer.
That's the one. Yeah.
That is what Shane Black loves. If he could write a Johnny Gossamer book, oh no, wait, he did. That's what this is totally about, and I love that about this film. That this is it's out of time.
I think it's a very well. I mean, the characters are really good as well. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is very likable, but Gay Perry.
Val Kilmer, yeah.
Val Kilmer's character is brilliant as well. But and it's all rather it's the storyline. There's not much of a storyline there.
Again,
really,
this is one of those things. Like we've said with the others, the conspiracy behind all this is some bloke who's divorced from his wife. Wants to make sure that his daughter doesn't get some of the money, so he brings in a doppelganger to stand up in court or some other form and give a testimony that she will not take it, so they can sign off it, and then he basically kills her off, and it goes into that whole thing, and then it turns out there's something to do with the Harmony's sister, and it all entangles a bit, and it gets a little bit confusing at times. I had to really sit and think about it all, how it all tied together, but for the most part, it doesn't matter.
And then there's an underlying story, of course, about Val Kilmer is a private detective, but also a funder of films as well. Yes. He invests money in films,
in LA.
And then you've got Robert Downey Jr., who is a criminal and is now become an actor.
Yeah, by accident.
By accident, and is considered for this role of this film. And
so he's gone out there to have detective lessons, basically.
Yeah.
He's in New York. Let's talk about the audition scene.
That's brilliant. Yeah,
because I hadn't watched this in a while, so watching it again. He's in the toy shop, talking to his niece, and he's like, "So is it this one or is it that one?"
Yeah, he's broken into the shop,
and when the alarm goes off, they're like, "What's that?" He's like, "Nothing."
yeah, I've got to go.
Yeah,
running down the alley, and then the woman comes out with a shot with a pistol, the pistol, and starts shooting.
Yeah, and then he runs,
shoots his friend.
Yeah,
and he runs up the stairs from the police car into the audition, and then they think he's method acting. And
it's probably one of the there's a couple of scenes in this where I think Robert Downey Jr. he knows that this is almost like this is his second chance.
It's very close to real life for him as well, some of these things.
And I think there was a couple of moments in this when he's like, this is me getting my acting chops out and really going for it to prove I've still got it, sort of thing. Because I think this is what gave him Iron Man and everything else. I think without this, he wouldn't have been Iron Man, because this proved he still had the.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah,
he's just phenomenal.
When he pulls in and he's a bit confused, and the woman reads in the line, and she's like, it's your fault that he died or something, whatever the story is in the script, and he's like, what? And all of a sudden it dawns on him, and he just goes mental. He's like, no, he wanted in. It wasn't me. It was, and they're like,
this is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like,
they're like, we found the new Brando. This is it. Yeah. It's
and they're only. I mean, they never intend to give him the part as well throughout the entire film,
which is another great in joke. Like, oh no, Johnny Depp or Colin Farrell wanted enough money, so you've just been brought in. To scare him into knocking a couple of million off.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is played so well, and it's almost like, for me, it's almost forgotten. It's like, okay, that's the instigator of why you're going to LA and why you've got to meet Gay Perry and why you're at the party, and then from that point, it's a detective story.
I like the narration.
I was going to ask you about that, because that's obviously a very 30s detective trope, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's very pulp-esque, because I mean, you get these gritty kind of like 1940s kind of like black and white films, and he goes, what's a man got to do around here to get a break, and you see this man walking up an alley, and it's the steam coming from the drains, and he's not talking, but him as a character is talking.
The narration over it is
always... was just started like any other day that day.
That's it,
and it's
it could be Bogart kind of thing.
Yeah, and it completely is a pulp novel.
But
absolutely.
they also poke fun at the narration in that it's done, and it's done well.
He breaks down the fourth wall.
But then he goes, "Oh wait, no,
it's Deadpool."
Because before Deadpool, because he stops halfway through a narration and says, "Oh, actually no, wait, I've actually forgot to tell you something. I'm a terrible narrator. We're going to go back, and I've got to remind you something of why so and so said." So they poke fun at that whole.
And he does say something, but doesn't he? Can we edit that? We can edit that, can't we? Yeah, we don't have to keep that in, right?
So, I mean, like you say, the plot. There's no even point talking at the plot. I don't think it's more. This is more of a character-driven piece, and I think the scenes are really good. Yeah. We've talked about the chemistry between the leads and the headers in the previous films. I actually think, this is second only to Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. Like Robert Downey Jr. and the scenes between Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer in this. They're so snappy. Like they work so well. Yeah. There's a clear, like, almost disdain from Val Kilmer. The two ones are like his. I forget what's happened.
The sarcasm. I love the sarcasm.
But he's trying to leave, and Downey Jr.'s in a bad place. And he's sat on the floor, leaning against his car. He's like, "Okay, well, I'm leaving now." He's like, "Okay." And he's like, "No, look, I'm leaving." And he's like, basically, literally pushing his face off the car. And he's like, "Just get off." Yeah, he is I think the chemistry between them is.
It's great. Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely great. I mean, the blooper reel at the end of the DVD is really good to watch as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. Yeah, the balance works quite well. The lady who plays Harmony, I don't know who that is. Sorry.
Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah, I don't know what else she's been in, but I've seen her in a few things, I think. But she's brilliant as well. She plays it really, really well. But every one of these characters you like, and that's the thing about this film I found quite interesting, is that I liked all these characters. I love Robert Downey, sort of like... almost manic delivery of things, you know. And
well, it escalates. That's what I think. He comes into it quite confident at the beginning. He's a bit like, Hollywood phonies.
Yeah, and he just kind of loses the plot as things go on, doesn't he?
As he loses his finger.
And he loses his finger. That was brilliant, you know. Did I just cut off your finger in the door?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it gets eaten by a dog.
Yeah, do you mind picking it up? Because I don't want to look at it.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just going to pass out now.
Yeah, well, it's even, when he's on the phone, because the body's been found in the boot of the car and that sort of thing, and then they've got rid of it again. And then it turns up in the shower.
In the shower, yeah.
And he turns around and he's peeing, and he's on the phone to Gay Perry. He turns around, I've just peed on it.
I just peed all over it. Can I get the
and he's like, why did you pee on it?
How did you pee in a corpse?
What are you doing to pee on a body?
It's a long story. And they chuck it out the window.
Yeah.
Down. Hits the side, doesn't it? And boom, falls to the floor.
It's very there's some very dark humour, some very black humour.
It's great. I mean, I can't say enough about this film.
I was really worried you wouldn't like this film.
I loved it.
I was really worried you wouldn't like it.
I think this is everything about this film I like. You know, I like the chemistry between the two. I love the sarcasm. You know how much I like sarcasm. I love Robert Downey Jr. anyway. I think he's a fantastic actor, and I mean, very talented on many different levels.
Yeah.
And I love the humour of it. It's almost slapstick-esque at certain points, you know.
Do you know what? That I would say is the only possible flaw I would give this film.
Okay.
Is that at times I think the humour is played a little bit too broad.
Okay.
And I know it's there to undercut the tension or undercut something that's gone on in a scene, but there are times when I'm a bit like, I'm not sure if that was totally needed. And that's obviously totally Shane Black. He obviously wants to punch it with a joke or something. But then there was parts I'm thinking, was that Robert Downey Jr. ad-libbing?
Right, yeah.
And they've just thought, it's actually really good. We'll keep that in.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit, not very often, just once or twice, where I'm a bit like, I don't think that scene needed.
Spider in the bra was brilliant. I loved that. I did not grab your tit. Generally, there was a spider in your bra. Yeah, right.
And then they find the
balls, you know, and it's just like the complete and absolute despair of his life that's just spiraling out of control.
The bit where it tumbles apart, and you can tell that he's almost like he's reached a point where he's like, either I've got to take control of this, or I'm just at a complete like rock bottom. When he accidentally he's fallen asleep in the back of the car because of the drugs, and he wakes up at one of the kidnappers' houses, walks in, and then he hides under the sofa, sees the girl killed,
and then he puts a finger on her mouth to shut her up.
To shut her up. But that's the point where he's like, it almost it clearly
he's
breaks
in too
him.
deep now.
He's like, I'm in over my head.
Yeah.
But emotionally, you can tell he's like,
You're
screwed.
not going to shoot me.
Because he gets and then he's like, but then he shoots him 3 more times.
Yeah.
And he's like, but in that moment, in the moment of killing that person, I don't think he saw another option.
No.
He was completely down with the only option in this situation is me to kill this person. And it's not until afterwards that he's like, I've just killed a person. And it's not like...
He plays it well. Plays it so well.
But it's not like, oh shit, I've killed a person, as in like, what am I going to do? It's, oh my God, I've been driven to the extent of I've just killed a person.
But even in 2005, all the forensics and DNA and everything else that's linked to all these scenes where he's been... You know, and he's...
Well, it's blood. Well, he literally says, like, my fingerprint. And he's like, well, wipe your fingerprints off. He's like, it's not that easy. And then the dog eats it. He's like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
And I think there's the bridge sequence when the shootout on the bridge,
the end of the film,
and the coffin going off the bridge, and him grabbing hold of the woman's body.
Yeah,
and it's just like dropping down onto the car, and it's brilliant.
It's worked brilliant. So well.
It's great. I think it's a great film. Great film, and it's one I'm going to get for my collection on Blu-ray, definitely.
It's one of those because I've got the DVD, and I do think about, would I upgrade to Blu-ray on this? Because it's so good. I do go back and watch this every now and then.
No, I'd watch it again.
It's
it was a feel-good movie. I went to bed that night feeling good.
Because there's two, because the ending's weird. All right, the ending it's a bit. The ending's a bit Return of the King, in that it has multiple endings. So you get the ending where he wakes up in hospital after everything that's happened. And he's sat there and he's obviously a bit bruised. And then they bring out the fact that Gay Perry spoilers, because if you watched it, they pull out that Gay Perry hasn't died. Now this is one of the points where I thought the humour was a bit too much, and he has the narration of like, well, of course we brought him back. That's how all these stories end. And he of course survived.
All the other characters, Elvis and everything.
Yeah,
else.
but then he's like, well, why don't we just bring back everybody? So they bring back the 2 kidnappers and the main baddie, and then Elvis walks in and all this other stuff. And I was a bit like, I get the joke, but it would have just been funnier if you'd have just done Val Kilmer bit. And then they got the two other endings. So at that point, I was like, oh, that's going to be the end. And then they go into the Harmony character's sister's funeral, or they go back to their hometown. And for some unknown reason, it's not unknown, but it feels a little bit odd. Val Kilmer's Gay Perry goes to Harmony's dad's bedside, because it turns out that he was basically a molester. He molested Harmony's sister.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
and her, the whole point of the sister coming to Hollywood was to find her real dad, because Harmony told her like, no, look, the reason he molested you is because you're not really his daughter. Your real dad's out there, and he was an actor and all this other stuff. And
she did in a justified kind of way.
Oh yeah, totally. No, it was all.
But turned out to be bad in the end.
That's just wasn't her fault, and that obviously ties into the plot. But when he goes to the bedside and he's like, "Oh, big man, take it," because he slaps him, doesn't he? He says, "I'm heavy, not feeling like," and beats him. He says, "You're an animal," and sort of stuff. It lasts about 2 minutes, the scene, and it's almost like, I don't know. I watch it and then watch this time. I was a bit like, I don't even think that's needed.
Probably not
at all.
I think it just ties up a loose end, doesn't it?
It sort of does, but I don't know. I think it would have been better if it would have been the Downey Jr. character doing it in a slightly different way. That would have felt more satisfying to me, because it's going back to Downey Jr.'s hometown as well, and Downey Jr. knew the family, so for him to go back and do it, I think would have been more satisfying for me. And then you get the final end, which is Downey Jr. reading it into recording himself, because this is obviously months later, and they're all better, and it turns out he's now a partner, detective, and they're selling the story to be a Hollywood film.
Yes.
And then you get Val Kilmer leaning in, and he's sort of like going, "All right, well, it's over now. Go away. You're done. Just go home. Go home." And it's a very
Ferris Bueller kind of.
It is. It's all very meta.
Moment,
it's all very meta. But at each of those points, I'm a bit like.
But it's kind of like
end
of the film, another little bit, and then breaks down the third wall.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I'm sure, I don't know.
I think saying Ferris Bueller, actually, I think if this film was made today, in 2016, so it's like say 10 years later, I think that meta moment of him doing the narration over the into the camera directly into the camera, the meta moment would have been a sting. Would have happened after the credits. I think they'd have ended it with that moment, or ended it a different way, and then they'd have had that.
That's a Ferris Bueller thing. Then,
it's a Ferris Bueller thing, exactly. And I think that's how they would have ended it. And I think that'd been more interesting.
I understand where you're coming from on that, but I do think that I think the payoff is good in this film. I think it's a good payoff at the end of the day. That payoff on the bridge and everything, brilliant. And Val Kilmer surviving, I think there's scope here for another film.
I feel I would love them to do a follow up to this. This is, like I said, I think
Kiss Kiss Bye Bye or something like that.
Yeah, this could totally have had deserves.
Could have been a franchise.
Yeah, because like I said before, this is a better version of Last Boy Scout.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, and I will accept that. I know you really didn't like Last Boy Scout.
No.
But this is a better version, and it ends on a similar note. So you said about how could a football star become a private detective? How does a con man / actor become a private detective? It's the same thing. It's just it just becomes the buddy film, doesn't it?
But I mean that's more plausible. I think that's more plausible.
Okay,
I don't know, but
I like.
He's much more of a likable character from the day one.
For your point of view, I agree with that. I think, having seen them both now, I would rather see a follow up to this than Last Boy Scout.
Totally. We should campaign for it.
I think we should. I'd love to see it. But so let's just go back. So the thing we've done for all the others that we've done is there you go. So The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah.
Well, before we go into the scores for IMDb, What would you give this out of 10?
Out of 10, 7.5.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang 7.5.
7.5.
Because remember, we gave, I think, Lethal Weapon. We gave 9. You gave a 9
Yeah,
too. I gave it an 8.
Yeah. This is a 7.5 to me.
I think I'd agree. Totally. I think I like Long Kiss Goodnight for its. I like it for its action, and I actually like it for its zaniness, because I think it's a very zany action film, especially the last act. So I enjoy that. But I think Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a much better made film. I think it's almost what we said the last time was that we said that Last Boy Scout was an unpolished script that we think may have been written before Lethal Weapon.
This is Shane Black with much more experience, much more know-how, and you can tell the way it's written. You can tell this was written a long time after. He's taken the best elements of his films,
Yes,
and combined it into make one uber film.
100%.
This is great.
I think it's one of his best films.
I think it's great. It's very well written. I mean, the directing wise, I got to take my hat off to him for directing it. I didn't know he directed it. I don't tend to look at the directors because I'm too influenced by directors because obviously for me being what I do and everything like that.
Yeah.
But so I didn't look at the director, but knowing that he's directed it now, it kind of makes
sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, and also as well, it's just credit to him. What a talented guy.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really it shows. So, Long Kiss Goodnight was 6.7 on IMDb.
Well, I give it a 6, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad.
And Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a 7.6.
I wasn't far off then.
No. So I think well, so whatever you take from it, but I think it's a good film. I really enjoy it. I think it's a cracking film.
Recommend anyone watch it.
I would recommend it. Highly recommend.
It needs to be on Netflix or Amazon or something like that, but it's not on there.
It's not. It's hard to find.
Yeah,
I had to really struggle.
I had to buy it.
Yeah, I had to buy it as well. I had to buy it. This is not available.
I normally shoplift my films, and I had to buy it.
I would say that all of these have got probably more available in Blu-ray than they are.
Oh yeah, they've all been re-released on Blu-ray. Yeah.
So of the 4, all right, let's rank the 4 then before we move on to the final bit. Then, so ranking the 4. So you had the films we watched are Lethal Weapon, Last Boy Scout, Long Kiss Goodnight, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Okay, so I got Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Last Kiss Goodnight, and then
Last Boy Scout.
Last Boy Scout.
So you're saying Lethal Weapon, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Long Kiss Goodnight, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yep.
Despite the probably the gaps between those films, having watched all 4 of them now, I would probably say I agree.
Wow.
I actually agree with that ranking.
That's quite interesting.
I would go back and watch all 4 of those. I would say that for
I wouldn't watch all 4. I watched 2 of the 4.
Yeah. I would say Last Boy Scout and Long Kiss Goodnight are probably a little bit closer. Are probably on par in that sort of like they're the lesser of they are the bottom half, the B list, I would say. But I still really enjoy them. But the top 2, the best.
Lethal Weapon, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That's a good night. That's a good night's viewing.
It is actually, and as a pairing, they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Watching this though, watching all these films now, I want to go. I didn't like Iron Man 3, which was written and directed by Shane Black. The reason I didn't enjoy it, I think, was because I went in expecting a
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
No, I went in expecting a Marvel film.
Okay.
And I was expecting, at that point, I didn't, I think I was expecting something a little different. I want to go back now and watch it as a Shane Black film.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Does he direct it as well?
He did direct it.
Okay.
And
he wrote it.
And he wrote it.
Okay.
And it's got Robert Downey Jr. in.
Yeah.
And Don Cheadle as Rhodey, who becomes sort of his partner and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the buddy cop thing. And people going, oh, yeah, it's a buddy cop film. It's this, it's that, it's a buddy film. And I was like, no, it's an Iron Man film. And I'm going in to watch an Iron Man film. I'm going to go back and watch it.
You need to take a step back and watch it from Shane Black perspective.
I think you're right. 100%. I think you need to go back and watch it as a Shane Black film. And I think I will enjoy it a lot more.
I think it's on Netflix now.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly. So I'm going to go and check that out. I've got it on Blu-ray upstairs in the attic, actually, but cool. I will go back and watch that. Other things for Shane Black. One more thing to note about Shane Black, which having watched this, I think is very intriguing. He is writing and possibly directing the new Predator film. and he's saying it's going to be a direct sequel to Predator, which he was in. He actually is an actor in that film.
Is he?
He is, yeah. The guy with the glasses who does always does the pussy jokes.
Shane Black.
Shane Black.
Oh, okay.
He's writing and possibly directing the next. He's currently writing and directing the next Predators film. He's definitely writing
with
it.
The Rock. The Rock is the.
I have no idea. I
Dwayne
don't know the
Johnson's
cast.
lead,
It's rumoured and that's it, but I don't know what it'll be. Having watched all these films, I don't think it's going to be set in a jungle. I think it's going to be a very different film.
The last one was set in the city.
Well,
Predator 2.
Well, then you get Predators, and then you get AVP and all the other rubbish.
Yeah,
I don't know where they're going to
go. My verdict is I'm a little bit out on the limb with the new Predator film for my own personal reasons, because I'm a huge fan of Predator.
The first film is amazing.
Lots of reasons.
Predator 1, the first Predator film, is almost a perfect film for
Yeah.
me. It's up there, and we will cover it someday.
Yeah, I think so.
The other
Schwarzenegger films of Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Oh, totally. The other thing he's writing and possibly directing as well, is a Doc Savage film. So Doc Savage is a pulp character, and is basically and I've covered him on a previous podcast of one of my history thingies. Is a precursor to Superman. He's the Man of Bronze and a true pulp character, and I think he would do awesome with that character. I think it'd be amazing. It'd be a really interesting film.
Yeah.
So that's the Shane Black Christmas.
Awesome.
I think I've really enjoyed doing these films actually. I think
It's been good fun. It's been good fun.
So the final thing we're going to do,
right?
Last time we did, we're doing all right.
Yeah.
Last time we did we discussed alternative Christmas films.
Yep.
And there's a bone of contention,
right?
And I will get to that in a moment. But we're going to cover actual Christmas films.
Okay.
This time. I think we'll go. Well, let's start on the head straight away with the controversy. So, It's a Wonderful Life.
Indeed.
And I'm not saying it's a bad film. I love It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not a bad film. It's a fantastic film.
It is a fantastic film.
Yeah.
It has me blubbering every time. It's so good.
It's what Christmas is all about.
Okay. How do you define a Christmas film?
Well, my grounds for comparison is It's a Wonderful Life. That's a Christmas film.
Okay, no. So I had this question, and I was struggling with this a bit because
the values of Christmas, right? Which people, which are kind of advertised and pushed through media and advertised and everything else. And it ticks all the boxes, right? It's set at Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life. It's set at Christmas, So it's set at Christmas. It has all the morals of family values and angels and snow and everything. Everything that represents Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life is about.
If that film was set in the height of summer, still plays, still works.
I don't think it does. Because it's a Christmas message. It's a Christmas story. It's about the importance of people coming together and that.
So basically, people coming together is only a Christmas thing. The rest of the year, you can be a complete knob to everybody.
No, you've got the bells on the trees, and every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings and stuff like that. You've got
so angels only get their wings in December.
Pretty much, yeah.
What about when a church bell rings? No, I'm not picking fault. Because I love the film. I really do love the film. And it's
100% a Christmas film. There is no argument in the fact it's not a Christmas film.
So I'm happy to put it on because I must admit we only watch it at Christmas. I wouldn't watch it.
It can't be an alternative Christmas film. It's just been in the Odeon cinemas have just released it. For one showing on the 15th of December.
Okay, it is known as a Christmas film.
Out of the entire films voted for people to see back at the cinema, it was number one on the list.
Yeah. Okay. I would love to see
Jingle All the Way was another one.
Seriously?
Yeah, Jingle All the Way was back at the Odeon. We missed out on it, man.
Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way. I've forgotten what the third one was. There was three. They were showing 3 Christmas films. Forgotten anyway.
Okay.
But
I'm happy to say that I would put that in there as
Trading Places was there.
Was it?
Yeah.
Which we said last week.
Yeah, we said last week. Trading Places is down as a Christmas film, as one of the 3 Christmas films.
I still consider that to be an alternative Christmas film, but I went back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you.
So I watched it back in October. So, okay. So It's a Wonderful Life. The reason I wanted to have that discussion is because I'm not going to say I love it, and I love the fact it's a Christmas film, and I still think it would play. You could change the setting a little bit, and that film could play at any point of the year. But I love the fact it's set at Christmas, and the whole bit at the end when the bells ring and it's like an angel gets its wings, floods of tears, of tears. However, and this is an interesting however I'm now going to throw to you. Jimmy Stewart's character, right, it all works out because people could rally around him because I'm going to tell you, it's the anti-Christmas Carol.
Right.
Because a Christmas Carol is about a bad person being told that you're a dick, so sort yourself out because people hate you and will always hate you and you become a pointless person, basically. That's the message, isn't it, really? When you were young, you were twisted and you became more twisted as you've got older, and that you need to change your ways because life should be about joy, it should be about sharing.
Well, I have a bit of contention there as well. But
okay, well, we'll discuss it in a minute.
Yeah.
But this film is about someone who has actually had a fantastic life.
No, but he hasn't, though.
Well, no. He's had a pretty good life, right? But it's but he's never achieved his ambition, has he? That's the point.
No, he's always helped other people throughout his entire life. He's always put other people first.
But he's a lovely guy.
Exactly.
So he's the anti-Scrooge because he's always put other people in front of him.
Yeah, okay. So it's got
and this is where someone. So you end up getting just the Ghost of Christmas Past, really. The angel showing him that Clarence showing him everything you have done has had an impact for the positive. Everything you have done has actually been a wonderful life. Because when they take him away, when they actually show the alternative, when they do Back to the Future 2, they show him and they say, like, your brother died on the thing, so your family fell apart, and the town's now run by the evil banker and all this other stuff. There's Tannen Towers and there's biker gangs and your former. No, sorry, it's Back to the Future 2. It's that thing, isn't it? It is about showing what a wonderful life. It's the anti, and I'm not saying it's the bad way. It's the anti Christmas Carol. It's
the same principles.
Yeah,
what they do in Christmas Carol with Scrooge, and they take him into the Ghost of Christmas to come.
But I love that. That's what I love about it, because and I think Jimmy Stewart is so fantastic in it. He's but the character that should have, the one that probably will be visited by three ghosts is the banker, the evil banker, Mr.
Yeah, I've forgotten his name.
I forget his name, but the evil banker.
Yeah.
So basically, there are two people in this film that should be punished, and neither are.
No.
His dickhead uncle.
But he is and he isn't, though. That's the thing. We don't know. It turns out
at the end of the film, his uncle they recoup the $8,000, which I actually figured out is over £300,000, over $300,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Yeah.
They recoup the money from all the loans and all the things that people say they owe him and stuff that one night. And that's lovely. That's the thing I love about it. People rally around him. So it almost gets his uncle out of the trouble. So his uncle's still a forgetful old git.
Yeah.
But the banker who stole the money and kept it and knowingly did so is never found out within the film and is never punished for it. So he basically gets, in today's money, £300,000 to do what he wants with it.
But I guess it's showing that there are evil people in the world. I think that's what the underlying message is.
Yeah, I get, and that's it. Actually, that's one of the things I found. I was interested to see your perception of, because it's a really sort of, there's a darker half to this that actually says, do everything you can, because there are still people that are horrible and will get away with it.
Yeah, absolutely, and like to see you suffer. Out of spite and jealousy. I think the going. You're talking about Christmas Carol comparison. Charles Dickens wrote the Christmas Carol and released it in 1834, and he released it because in 1789. By 1789, you got it.
I have a copy here.
By 1789, in this country, Christmas was kind of more or less finished. No one was celebrating.
No,
so,
I didn't know that. Okay, here you go. 1843.
1843. Sorry, 34. I said wrong way around.
Yeah.
There we are. 43. So and it sold out in the first 2 weeks. And he spent the rest of his life going around reading this, which ended up killing him.
Yeah.
But the fact is that the Christmas Carol was written because people forgot what Christmas was all about, and as I say, they hadn't celebrated Christmas for years and years and years, and that was what made Christmas reborn.
It did.
And on a similar notion,
Two things.
It's a Wonderful Life is very much the same thing, because what Jimmy Stewart is Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah, and Jimmy Stewart, the Christmas has died out. And when Clarence coming down and showing him exactly what life is all about, it puts the spirit back into him, you know. Which is why he's running through and saying, Merry Christmas Movie House, you know. And it kind of like, to me, to me, It's a Wonderful Life is a story of Charles Dickens writing the Christmas Carol.
I've never thought of it that way. That's fascinating. Okay, that's a really good idea. Yeah, no, I did some research around... I started to look into the history of Christmas, because I was really curious to sort of think, and it turns out, you're right. You're totally right that Christmas was dying out in like
1790s.
In the Western Europe, it was really sort of dying out. The only sort of places it was really sort of was still a thing was like rural Germany and France and places like that.
Yeah.
So when it was reignited, and you're right, that like Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol sort of brought back brought back Christmas, but also I should say brought back the modern sensibilities of Christmas about being happy and all that thing. So it really is based around this book.
Yeah, not the debauchery and murder and
not the pagan sacrifices kind of thing.
Yeah, the 12 Days of Christmas.
But the other thing that reignited
12 sacrifices.
The other thing that reignited in this country was Prince Albert.
Yeah,
and bringing again that German influence of Christmas trees and baubles and stuff. He brought all that into this country.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
George,
he didn't.
George I brought the Christmas trees into this country.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Albert, Victoria's husband.
Swear to you. No,
Victoria's husband.
No, I swear to you. George I brought the Christmas trees.
George
into this
I in the 20th century.
Because it was a German thing. He brought it into this country. Victoria and Albert are associated with the Christmas tree because the first etching on the London Times Illustrated was an etching of her and Albert standing next to a Christmas tree, and within 4 or 5 years, most households had a Christmas tree in the country.
Right. The Christmas tree became popular in England in 1841 when Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, brought a Christmas tree over from Germany and put it in the front of Windsor Castle.
What?
1841.
Now look into it a bit more. Where have you got that from?
That is from Christmas Tree Traditions on Project Britain /ChristmasTree.com.
You need to look a bit further into it. George I was the first person to bring
History of the Christmas Tree.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is actually from theroyals.com.
No, theroyals.com. Don't look at theroyals.com.
No, this is Christmas Windsor Castle and Christmas tree. The first known Christmas tree was erected at Queen's Lodge, Windsor, by Queen Charlotte, the German-born wife of George III, for a party she held on Christmas Day in 1800 for the children to leading families. Blah 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 blah. Here we go. Christmas trees Christmas trees were an established royal institution in Britain long before the custom spread to the general populace. Queen Adelaide always had one for the young Princess Victoria, obviously because of their German nature.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Prince Albert, who is often wrongly credited with having brought the Christmas tree to Britain,
Thank you.
certainly did most to encourage the general adoption. The Christmas tree at Windsor Castle was featured in the Illustrated London News in 1848, and inspired imitation brought... Okay. However, it does say... Going back to this, so...
Just says Mike's right.
No. Okay, here we go. You're wrong, because it spread to the general populace... because of the royals,
because of the London Illustrated
in the 1800s. Yeah. But you've said about George. It says here he was the first person to put it outside Windsor Castle for the people to see.
Oh yeah, but don't worry about Windsor Castle.
But it already spread to the people because. And here's something else I found out.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas spread to America at a similar period. So that when we started to spread, when we obviously populated America. In the late, Victorians, there's all the emigration and that sort of thing. We took Christmas with us. Not just us, but Germans and French and all these other people took the sensibility of these traditions with them to America. And there became, as there are with America, an amalgamation of all these things.
We're debating history.
Go on. There became an amalgamation of the St. Nicholas character in America. So you had a US version of
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus became the American version.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a European version that was still Father Christmas. And the Father Christmas from Europe was relatively slim, had the beard and similar look, but was slim, wore a holly wreath around his head and some of the bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And the American version is actually more derived from the Ghost of Christmas Present in A Christmas Carol, and then it became more jolly and round. And it wasn't until the 1930s, and again Coca-Cola and some other companies, that actually brought the two together and established the modern multi-global vision of what Santa Claus is today. So the true vision of what we use Santa Claus today, or Father Christmas, all these other things, as like the Jolly Fat Man, Tim Allen in a big fat suit, actually didn't come around to the 20th century. Before that, there were slightly different versions, because again,
there's lots of versions of
exactly,
because then you get
Saint Nicholas. Because then you get the German version,
supposed
the
to
Turkish
capture the devil and use the devil as a slave, which was
so there's so many
and stuff. But
the commercial version then.
But Christmas was in America with the Puritans when the Puritans left this country.
Yeah, but not as a.
But it was a very diluted version. It was a very purist version.
Exactly.
And as Dickens came about, again, it's all down to Dickens. Dickens went across to America and everything like that. The Christmas Carol was the birth of Christmas over there as well.
Oh, it was. I know. That's what. But that's
I think they celebrated Christmas or legalized Christmas in all the states in the 1800s as well. I don't remember exactly when that date was.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why when Christmas Carol went over, that's why the American version of Santa Claus is the round, ruddy-faced, beardy person, because he was more based on the Ghost of Christmas Present from A Christmas Carol.
You know why we get red from, and it's not Coca-Cola as we associate
No, it's
with.
the blood from a deer.
No,
I've heard two different versions.
It's the hearth god, because they used to have believe in the hearth god, which is the god of the fireplace, and used to keep your fireplace clean over the years.
Yeah.
And if your fireplace was clean, once a year he would come down and he would be dressed. He'd be dressed in red. The hearth god would. And if you kept your fireplace good, you would get a prize, and if you didn't, you wouldn't. Sort of thing. And it was like that. It was not a prize, but a gift, sort of thing. And there's lots of things, lots of traditions and stuff like that.
Well, I think there's weird stuff coming. Christmas is becoming. I think Christmas is going through another resurgence at the moment, from a legend and tradition sense. Okay. Christmas Carol. You've had Father Christmas. The Coca-Cola thing is now, the holidays are coming and all that kind of jazz. The modern version, or the modern, I would say, commercial version of Santa Claus, okay, is now coming. And there's a yin and a yang to everything, okay? And for many, many years, I would say that there has never been a yang to Santa. There's just this jolly fat guy, and if you've been naughty, do you know what? You get a lump of coal, which, to be fair, in the early 20th century and late 1800s, probably not that bad, because you just get to keep warm. And I think there's been a real weird resurgence in the tradition of the Krampus in the last couple of years. Now, the film's come out recently, which the last couple of years.
Krampus is derived from the devil as well, isn't it? Is that right?
Well, it's a German myth. It's a Germanic myth of in the Germanic myth, Santa Claus came to the ones that were good. There were two lists, the good list and the bad list, right? Santa came to reward the children on the good list.
And Krampus came to take the children away as being naughty.
Krampus came to take the bad children away. He would beat them with a stick, put them in his bag and take them away.
Which Krampus is derived from, is supposed to be the devil as well.
Yes, he is devil-esque. He's got the horns and the cloven hooves.
Ruprecht, which is, again, St. Nicholas story of...
So it's all the pagan, and it all comes from pagan gods as well. So, but obviously the devil comes from pagan gods.
There's Norse legend as well.
Exactly,
and things like that,
so it breaks down. But the anti-Claus, as it would be, the Krampus, has had a real resurgence in recent years. There's sort of like, there's a couple of horror films, there's been books written about it, there's some comic books about it.
Terrifying, isn't it?
It's a concept. It's terrifying.
Kids, it's like,
I haven't told my daughter yet, but at some point I will. When if she really pushes it, I'll be like, "You think Santa?" And she'll be like, "I'm still on Santa's nice list."
Sit her in front of the film downstairs.
Yeah,
Krampus on the TV.
Krampus. So it's just interesting to see that there has been that research. And I've gone a complete tangent, but I've quite enjoyed it.
I think you need to look a little bit more into.
I will have a look
Christmas
into
tree.
it, and I will.
I swear to you that George the First.
I'm not going to argue with you because you are more knowledgeable.
No.
Here and now, I am also going to recommend A Christmas Carol to people. It's not very long.
No, I've never heard of it before.
It's really worth reading. I've got a very little mini version here, and it's a very good book. It's really good.
Who wrote it?
I think it was Dan Brown.
Right, Dan Brown.
It's about a guy who can follow cryptology.
Yeah.
And he basically figures out the meaning of Christmas.
Wow.
By looking at maps and paintings, and he basically stops a bomb from going off at the end.
Is there a virgin in it?
Not by the end, she ain't.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
I like that. I think I'll buy that.
I would recommend it. It's a good read. So, all right. So we're talking about. So we've now got defined, I think, what we want as a Christmas film. We've both agreed that It's a Wonderful Life is a great film.
It's the ultimate Christmas film.
Yeah. I'd actually agree with this. I'm happy to agree with that. Other Christmas films, and what are your other go-to Christmas films?
Well, I've basically made a rule that I'm going to watch 5 films from the 20th going right through.
Oh, okay. So it's from tomorrow.
Ending with It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
So Elf, Will Ferrell.
Never seen it. Need to watch it. I've heard so many things about it.
Phenomenal.
Okay.
It's great. It's a very silly kind of fun film. Grinch.
Love the film. The Jim Carrey version.
Yeah, I was going to watch that with my kids tonight, actually, but
I'm a bit late.
But
the Jim Carrey version's amazing.
Yeah, amazing. The Grinch. What was the other ones? Not that it's on my list, but Jingle All the Way.
It's a great film.
I think that's just
seriously daft.
Yeah.
Although it does completely play into and justify commercialism throughout the whole film.
Yeah. Home Alone.
Love that's on my list.
Yeah, Home Alone's definitely on my list. See, I had this list in my head and now it's completely gone. But I know it definitely ends in It's a Wonderful Life, without a shadow of a doubt.
Good for all of those.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Not one I've gone back to for a while. I keep thinking
you need to. It's great.
I should go back and watch.
It's
that.
a great
I really
film.
enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
For me, I have a similar sort of. I don't know. I could narrow it down to 5. 5 films I will always go back to. If I think about it, is Scrooged.
Good film.
Bill Murray's Scrooged. Love that. I watched it the other night. Muppets Christmas Carol.
Right. Yeah.
Seriously love that film. Home Alone.
Home Alone's, yeah, totally. You have to. Again, it's a Rogue One film, isn't it? You don't want to watch the first hour. You just want to watch the.
All I want to watch is yeah. But that again, but I'd say it's a 5-star film in that Macaulay Culkin doesn't need to be a great actor, but he's perfect for the role. The music in it's brilliant. It's John Williams again. The music's brilliant. The cast is brilliant. The setup is brilliant.
Yep.
It's amazing. Other ones I always love is one Alex and I have actually got to. It's a bit of a tradition. It's 4 Christmases.
Oh,
it's Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
And it's got a good message, but also it's just a funny film.
Have you seen a film called Deck the Halls?
I have. I think we've got that. I don't think I wasn't a big fan. That one with Tim Allen and
Tim Allen, yeah.
It's all right, but it's definitely going to make this list.
Not Danny DeVito.
Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd, yeah.
Other one I'm trying to think now that I really like. I say Jingle All the Way. There is others. I'm trying to think really. Others that I've got to watch. Do you know what I watched the other night actually, and I really enjoyed, and I'm going to add it to my tradition. Is have you heard of Harold and Kumar?
Yes.
So Harold and Kumar get the munchies. Harold and Kumar escape from Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
And then there's Harold and Kumar, a very Harold and Kumar Christmas.
Right.
So I watched.
I've never watched any of their films, but I know of them.
Watch them.
Really?
They're very funny.
Okay.
Neil Patrick Harris is brilliant in them. But I watched a very Harold and Kumar Christmas the other night, and it's awesome. It's really stupid. It's really daft. It's a proper stoner comedy kind of film.
Right.
It involves, it includes a baby that has a very protective father, but routinely throughout the film ends up getting exposed to different layers of drugs. So it starts with her getting sort of like a blowback from a bong, and then escalates to her getting someone sneezes cocaine into her face. And then she eats an ecstasy, thinking it's a breath mint. And you're just like, it's that level of stupidity.
So I'll watch it.
It's worth. If you can get, it's on Prime at the moment.
I'll watch it.
It's worth just giving it a go. It's not. I wouldn't say it's the best.
I want to see
film.
Krampus. Krampus.
Krampus is a really good film. I really enjoyed it.
I want to see that because it's. I like silly horror.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a very silly horror.
It's got some very silly moments in it. It's
But I'm going to go home and watch a Christmas film tonight. I'm going to I'll probably watch National Lampoon, something like that.
I think I'm going to check that one out. I haven't watched that in years.
Oh, it's funny. It's
And
fun. I like Chevy Chase. I love the National Lampoon franchise.
Yeah,
have you seen Vacation? Even though it's not a Christmas film.
The new one?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I heard really bad things about it. Like people were slating it.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
So it's never sort of come onto my to-do list. But I love the other ones. I love the originals. And I have seen them all. Anything else? Anything the Christmas tradition? I'm trying to think of anything else. There's always like Christmas special editions or Christmas editions of films I quite like.
Yeah.
Alex has a tradition of 5 weeks before Christmas she always watches Love Actually because that's when it starts. So the film's set and then leads up to Christmas.
You should leave him. You should. We should have a poll. Should Scott leave Alex?
On what grounds? What she likes Love
Actually? Yeah.
Why shouldn't she? Without being completely sexist, it's a chick flick. It's designed for people like my wife. To be fair, you don't like it
because it only exists because of women like Alex.
Women like Alex.
Yeah, because
this is Christmas. I don't want emails complaining about this episode.
No, because Alex is fueling the fire for Love Actually. If we eliminate Alex, right?
So because of her,
and all of Alex's friends and family members who like Love Actually, we can torture some of our family members just to find out exactly who else is seeing this film, eh? And then we can eliminate everyone in the world loves Love Actually, and then Love Actually will never be seen again, deleted from history as really one of the most appalling films.
I haven't watched it. I have to admit, I don't watch it. She always watches it without me.
It's dreadful.
If you go downstairs to where the TV is, right, the TV cabinet, you got TV, and then you got the box and the Blu-ray stuff, right, and then it's broken into there's some shelving bits down the sides. Yep. And Ellie's got hers on the bottom, so she's got all the Disney films and a couple of other bits and pieces down there, right? And then there's a slot where I keep my current to watch pile. So of course. If there's a couple of DVDs I want to watch, I'll stick them down there, or Blu-rays, right? And that's where. And currently the Christmas films are in there.
Okay.
And some of the bits and pieces I want to watch, like Krampus. The other side is Alex's. Okay, and Alex has, and it never changes. There's a complete box set in there, and there are 2 DVDs. Okay, the complete box set is Sex and the City. And then on top of that, she has Sex and the City, the movie, and Sex and the City 2. And she also...
Kill her. Kill her.
It's almost like they offend me. I won't say it because it's her space. That's where she can keep that what she wants. But it does offend me to such a level at times. I hate it so much.
When she sticks it on, do you go, I'm just going to go to the garden and put this nail in my hand? Sorry, Christmas thing to do.
I've never watched them. I haven't watched them.
Actually, no, it wasn't. It's more of an Easter thing, isn't it?
I will say I have watched probably a couple of episodes. I didn't do what you said then. Of course, yeah. I have watched a couple of episodes of the TV show. Never watched any of the films. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But yeah, going back to the Christmas theme of keeping things, I'm really looking forward to it.
Actually, it's a Christmas film now, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I can see that. I watched it and I enjoyed it. I've got to be honest. I did enjoy it, but it's not something I'd watch again.
No.
Or put it in a routine.
Yeah.
Muppets Christmas Carol for me.
Yeah.
I struggle with musical things. I mean, the Grease and Little Shop Horrors, because of my association with them.
Yeah.
That's why I love them.
Love Little Shop Horrors.
I don't know. Would I watch Muppet Christmas Carol? I'm not sure. I'm not dissing Muppet Christmas Carol. I think it's a great film.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it fits into my Christmas. I don't think it gets me in the Christmas mood, which sounds really bizarre. And it's probably because I love this, because I love Christmas Carol so much.
Because it's a twist on the thing. Well, it's the same as Scrooge. Scrooge is a twist on it. But
Scrooge is, yeah. But
that's a great film.
Scrooge doesn't have singing. And Christmas Carol, it's never had singing.
I mean, Scrooge, it does sort of does at the end, but it's like you say, it's all a play.
He does. Yeah, it's a musical ending.
Scrooged is probably the top 3 for me. Christmas films. I love it so much. I think
it's a great rendition.
Bill Murray is amazing.
He's a great Scrooge.
Yeah.
Well, have you tried Staples?
Yeah. And what's his name? The guy who was in the Police Academy films. Played Zed. Yeah. He's a director.
Zed Goldworth. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I forget his name, but yeah, he's really good in it as the sort of Bob Cratchit. Bobcat Goldthwait.
Bobcat Goldthwait.
That's
right. That's one.
He's brilliant in it. All 3 of I say 3 because the Ghost of Christmas Future is just a big sort of model thing, but the Taxi Driver is the Ghost of Christmas Past, and then the Fairy is the Ghost of Christmas Present. Excellent. I can't recommend that film enough. I love that film so much.
So what's your number 1 Christmas film then? Obviously mine's It's a Wonderful Life. There's no 2 ways about it.
It's hard, actually. So yeah, what do you go to as a number 1 Christmas film? Do you know what? It's a real close thing between actually Scrooged, because I do makes me really get into a good mood, and A Muppet's Christmas Carol, because I love the songs now. I've got the album.
Is Muppet's Christmas Carol on Prime or anything?
It's on Netflix.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting. And I love the Grinch because I more associate myself with the Grinch.
Yeah, that's one I've got to go back and watch.
Hate, loathe.
Yeah. I would want to go back and watch that because that's actually a really good one. Elf, I'm going to watch Elf this year.
Yeah, I think Elf must be on one of them. Must be somewhere.
Jingle All the Way is on Netflix.
Jingle All the Way is definitely on Netflix.
I might watch that tonight.
Oh, it's a really good film.
Because Arnie in that film is brilliant.
Oh, it's one of his best comedy roles.
It is.
You know, it's better than Kindergarten Cop.
Better than Junior.
Junior was awful.
Yeah. Twins is probably the only other one that
Twins
actually...
is all right. But they still have to make this Twins 2.
Yeah, but it's one of his first comedy roles, really, isn't it? Though.
Well, that could be said for most of his films, really, though, couldn't it? You know.
No, Twins has got its flaws, but yeah, no, they've killed Twins 3 because Twins 3 at one point.
Twins 2
they've killed off because at one point it was going to be Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Eddie Murphy, and that was a step too far for me. I'm like, oh, this sounds implausible. It's just weird.
I think Danny DeVito in anything is great.
Yeah,
sure.
So I think I'll give that a miss, but we will have to do an Arnold Schwarzenegger retrospective. Pick 4 Arnie films and do those over 2 episodes.
Yeah, that sounds good. That does sound good. But yeah, to me, I'm counting down to It's a Wonderful Life because on Christmas Eve, that's it.
We will be watching that. Alex and I will be watching that, and I will get the tissues out, and I will be crying my heart out. Yeah, totally. That film's amazing. So, if to our listeners, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and if you've got any comments on any of the Shane Black films that we've discussed, or any Christmas films, you think we've missed one out, or there's one that you think we should be watching, or want us to check out,
or if you think that Scott should leave Alex for Love Actually, then always email as well.
Let me know.
Or you could text Scott on his number. His number is...
Just tweet me.
Let me guess. No,
at 20th Century Geek.
But if we give you a number out, it'll be much easier.
Contact me through the website, 20thcenturygeek.com. Find me on Facebook, 20th Century Geek. Email me, 20thcenturygeek@gmail.com.
Or text him on 0797... 8!
Okay. So... Thank you very much, Mike. I've actually really enjoyed these. I'm really glad I'm really glad you enjoyed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang because that's what I was actually hoping you would do because I thought it was a bit of a hit or miss one.
It's a great film.
Man of Letters. How can they get in contact with you or subscribe or find it?
Go to iTunes, search for Man of Letters. Look at me sitting on the chair, looking a bit sort of like odd.
Yeah.
Or Instagram. I think I'm on Instagram. I've got a Facebook page, I believe, somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't do any of this. So I mean. You can look on there, and there's 2 Christmas specials that are out that are coming out. One on Boxing Day is coming out with my guest will be Father Christmas.
Excellent.
Do you know how hard it was to book him?
Mm-hmm.
He's only available on Boxing Day.
I was going to say one
day. Then
he
sleeps constantly. It's like,
I can probably understand that.
Yeah, and I need to talk to him about a few things. It's like, why haven't I got any presents this year? What's going on?
Who's this horned gentleman, clothed hoof person that keeps throwing a knock on the door, telling me to get in a sack?
Yeah, I'm not getting in any sack.
Yeah.
And
Krampus, cramp you.
Yeah. Why hasn't Santa come round and emptied his sack?
Yeah.
Around my place because I'd be up for that.
Excellent. Fair enough.
Does he have any sylphs?
Sylph. Anyone figures that out? Because I figured it out pretty quick. Tweet us. Hashtag sylph. Okay, thanks very much. If you do subscribe to us on iTunes, remember to try and give us a 5-star review. It's much appreciated. And Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. We'll see you soon.